people at a middle level and at a top management level, where you are sitting on high base pay. In order to save your taxes, you actually create a annuity plan. So deferred pay is nothing but saying that you are deferring the payment. Okay, guys. So we talked about base pay, we talked about variable pay, we talked about deferred pay. Now come back to quickly, let us look at any clarifications here. We talked about all this. We come to indirect pay. All this is cash, I told you, no? We come to indirect pay. Now in indirect pay, one is as per the government regulations, that is mandatory. So like for protection programs, we talked about provident fund, gratuity, right? Then we also talked about medical insurance, compensations, which are as a part of the social security. All this is what? Mandatory. You have to comply.
Yes, I see.
Yes, I see. You have to comply. But over and above, organizations are now giving much more. Like, for example, in an insurance, because of the economies of scale, people are also saying, okay, fine, because the employees are also wanting to contribute. So you are buying insurance schemes for them. Then you are also including many more members. You are giving a floating scheme. So you are flexible in that, right? Then even in medical during the COVID, do you know that there was no lump sum amount as per the levels? If you had COVID, you were given any amount of money which would actually go in for the treatment. There was nothing like, level specific amount, right? So organizations are giving beyond, over and beyond the whatever you need to comply with. Pay for time not worked. So, like for example, this maternity leave, then those leaves, earned leave, sick leave, as per the Industrial ID Act and as per the Factories Act, you have to give them. But organizations, are they sticking to it? If you want to really become a great place to work and all that, they're giving over and above. They're giving sabbatical, they're giving holidays, emergency leave, vacation leave, sabbatical leave. So a lot more paternity leaves. Now that is becoming common now, paternity leave. Why? Because the trend is you need not be conventionally that only a lady when she marries, then she's going to have a baby. No. Unmarried fathers today want to adopt children. Single parents want to adopt children. So you are giving, right? And I think very soon now one will take into consideration a lot of things, a lot of changes. So you have to go by how the society is moving. What are the society trends? Okay. So pay for time, not worked. Now services and perquisites. Now even this area, organizations are looking at to what? Not only physical, not only mental, but also they are getting into emotional and spiritual quotients. No? Ask me in my organizations, wherever I've worked with the millennial workforce and very young workforce. So their mental hygiene was very, very important. So we were actually giving them a lot of what? Online counseling, personal coaching, go to a psychiatrist if necessary, too they could do. Then fitness programs, wellness programs, and I'm sure all of you, including the manufacturing organizations, where I've seen they start with what? Yoga, fitness, etc. Why? Now they believe that it is not just two hands which come and make your product, it is a whole body which is actually what? Physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual quotient. So organizations have actually realized, and especially we have evolved from the industrial era to the information to digitized era, where we have learned that human capital is the most valuable, critical asset, right? So apart from that, of course, you are giving low cost meals, free meals, and also online financial planning, home planning, recreation activities. Then along with it, you also give, like for example, if it is a bank, they give interest-free loans. If it is a merchandise, they give discounted merchandise. So every organization depends, like Airtel, they give 200 calls free, right? So these are some of the things in when you talk about indirect pay, they're rolling out all these kind of perks and benefits. Okay, guys. So when we talk about compensation, Why is it very, very important? Now you know that there is direct pay, there is indirect pay. Now, when you're talking about a compensation strategy, depending on what is the business strategy, and you want to align your compensation strategy to the business strategy, so then you will make a pay mix in such a way that what percentage of direct, what percentage of indirect. So you will have an interplay of these components to ensure that you create a branding around it. For example, Infosys. So they give what, whether you want it or not, there is something called what? Training. So they brand themselves as we are not the best payers in the market. We will pay around 65th to 75th percentile, but we will invest in you, we'll train you. Okay. So why at a campus recruitment, most of the people want to join Infosys, which pays at a lesser salary as in compared to some of the companies which may pay higher salaries. They choose Infosys or some other good organizations which pay less salary because they say, hey, we are going to get training. They are going to invest so many hours in training. We're going to work in various different projects. So they are improving the capacities. Okay. So that's how they brand. So these are called branded benefits. Okay, guys. So I'll have to close this module here because we have to get into another module, very important module. Any questions? Any questions?
Madam, what about DA? Is it a direct pay or indirect pay?
Which one?
DA.
DA. DNS allowance.
Yes.
DNS allowance is a part of direct pay which comes into base pay, because base pay in public sectors, etc. If you see, you have basic and DA. Okay.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any questions? So now we will go to the module 3, which is very important. It is setting the context for the entire other 3 sessions. Okay. It's called equity theory. Has anybody heard of equity theory? Or what is equity? I want to, and we have no time, but I want you to see a very interesting video, and you already have that video. Okay. Now, you know, this is a video about, there are 2 monkeys. Okay. Now, these monkeys are trained that when you give something to them, they have to give back I think a small wood block, chip block. Now there are 2 monkeys in different sellers. So this guy gives cucumber to one, and they're trained. He gives back some wood block. Then there's another monkey. He gives cucumber. He gives back again. Now again, this guy gives to that first monkey a grape, and he gives back something. Now this guy gives to the other monkey a cucumber, and he sees that, hey, but that guy has got grape. So, but he says, okay. But when he's repeating the same thing, to one guy is giving grape and to the other monkey is giving cucumber, the monkey which gets cucumber is literally ferocious. He says, why should I be getting a cucumber when the other fellow is getting a grape? So you can imagine, in organization also, employees, what happens when they get their salaries, they compare with each other or with outside. And when they see that there is no fairness in the way they are getting salaries, so they feel absolutely what? Demotivated. Okay. Now, what is equity theory? Equity theory is actually propounded by a very famous psychologist called Adam Smith. What does it say? He says that people will get motivated. What? People will get motivated when they see that what they give as input equals to what they get as output or outcome. What does it mean? What do I bring to the organization in my role? I will give my competencies, I will give my effort, I will give my time, everything. And in turn, what does the employer give? He gives salary, benefits, promotions, training, etc. Now, what does the employer do? He will compare his input and then he will say, does it equal to output? So if his input is equal to output, he is happy, he is motivated, no complaints. He will come every day to the job. He'll feel passionate about the job. But if he sees that his input is more and his output or what he gets is less, he's demotivated. Then what happens? He stops dropping, he can become absent, he will reduce his productivity, etc. Or if his input is less and output is more, then also he'll try to make the equation equal by coming early, by doing little more work, justifying for the salary he is got. So this is called equity theory. That means employees A, they first of all compare their input and output equation. Two, they also compare it with others. When I say compare it with others, what does it mean? That means when you are working in an organization, you are comparing with everybody else, the other people who are getting salaries. So one, you are internally comparing. So I'm sure most of you must have heard complaints at any point of time, or somebody saying, oh, I'm not happy with, that person is getting more salary, whereas I am doing the same job, I'm doing more work and he's getting more salary. Or you must have heard that you see, I'm a manager and I'm getting less salary for a lot of amount of work, but that guy is a senior manager. He is doing comparatively, he's doing much, much lesser work. So people, what are they doing? Comparing within the organization. So I told you very clearly what is input: experience, education, special skills, efforts, all this. What is outcome? Pay, benefits, achievement, recognition, training, sabbaticals, etc. Now people will compare. I will just put this big one. Oh, where did it go? Yeah. Now can you see this? So if a person's outcomes, means the rewards by the contribution, equals to the person he is comparing, then he feels fair, he feels equitable. But if a person is comparing to another person and he feels, hey, my reward to my contribution is lesser than the person he is comparing, then he feels what? Under rewarded, or there is inequity. Then what happens? His behavior, he changes something or the other to bring this equal sign. Say, for example, I'm here. That is, my reward to contribution is lesser than the person I'm comparing whose contribution to, whose reward to contribution is more. Then what I will do? I have to bring it to a balance, no? So I will start doing what? I will first of all ask for a raise, or I will reduce my contribution, or I will try to get some kind of an increase, or I will quit. Because why? I want to ensure that there's always that equal sign, balancing sign, because otherwise I'm not motivated. Supposing, as I said, if this is more and to the person I'm comparing, then what I will do? I will try to work more. I will justify, oh yes, I really, I'm justified to get this kind of a raise. Or sometimes, let me tell you guys, this person will actually tell the other person, hey, you don't have to work so hard, okay? You come at 9 o'clock, go at 5 o'clock, okay? So like, for example, in organizations, when, say, I'm just taking a very small example, like a driver who's been there for 10, 15 years, he's sitting on a nice fat salary of 50,000 or so. Now you have recruited another driver doing the same job who gets about 10 to 15,000. So this guy who gets 50,000 says, don't worry, come at 9, go at 5, just do the amount required. Okay. So therefore, what is our behavior? Always trying to balance, justify. So out of this equity theory, there are 3 kinds of equity we can talk about. What is it? We call them as internal equity, external equity, and individual equity. Has anybody come across these internal equity, external equity, and individual equity? Now, when we talk about internal equity, what is internal equity?
Within the organization.
In the organization. Say, for example, a CFO is getting some amount of money. A CHRO is getting some amount of money. A CIO is getting some amount of money. How do you justify the pay differentials in these people? Is there fairness or is there equity in the way we are paying different salaries for different jobs? What is the criteria? So when a person is actually comparing himself, his rewards vis-a-vis the contribution to another person working in the same organization, then we talk about, hey, internal equity. So typically to establish, say for example, if there are 500 people and 400 people through your satisfaction survey are not happy with the compensation because they feel there is no fairness in the way you are paying salaries to people who are internally working, then what will happen? Tell me, what is the impact on performance, productivity? What is the impact?
Negative.
Huh?
Negative impact.
Negative, or maybe the outcome will show that, hey, you are not reaching your targets, right? You are not able to reach your performance or productivity targets. So definitely, do you think internal equity, if it is an issue, we need to really tackle it and see how we can actually then make that organization fair and equitable, right? So how do organizations bring about fairness or equity or maintain internal equity? What is that they do? Anybody? You have to be transparent, no? In the way you pay salaries, so that everybody knows, yes, there is a procedural equity, means there are procedures, systems, transparency to ensure that, yes, there is, because it's not only sufficient to have equity, you also have to demonstrate it. How can you demonstrate equity? Through procedural equity, having a system, having a process, having a policy. So how do you have it? By doing what we call it as technique, job evaluation. What do? We do a technique or a tool called job evaluation. Have you heard of job evaluation, all of you?
Yes.
Huh? Is there a difference between job evaluation and job analysis?
Yeah, evaluation typically we try to, we do the evaluation of a job, not a person.
Right. Yes, that of course is there. But what is it? What is, when you say
To
job?
measure the criticality of the job.
So to put it very, very simply, you are establishing the worth or the value of the job. Because only when you establish the worth or the value of the job, then you can then say, hey, this job should get more, this job should get less. Got it?
Yeah.
So job evaluation is the systematic process of establishing or determining the worth or value of the job in relation to the other jobs. So you get a hierarchy. If there are 10 jobs, which is the highest job, which is the lowest job? If there are 50 jobs, so you get a hierarchy as to, hey, this is the, so if this is a higher job, higher salary, lower job, lower salary. So we use job evaluation. There are various techniques, both quantitative and qualitative, which we will be going through. So internal equity is all about fairness and equity within the organization of how you are paying different jobs, different salaries, pay differentials. What is external equity now? When HR manager, like for example, Rituparan Mishra is comparing his job with in the market and he finds that, he's getting less salary.
Market
Okay.
competitiveness.
That means it's
Is it
not
similar industries?
similar
Comparing
industry.
us,
Yeah.
comparing similar industries.
Similar industry is not competitive. No, what will you do? The next best opportunity, you will jump out and say, hey, they're paying me 2 times more. Let me go and join them. No. So organizations, in order to be competitive, they have to then what? Get what? Market data as to what is market or what are my peer companies paying, so that I know where I am, whether I'm paying more or whether I'm paying less. Because you may say, hey, I will only be paying what I'm able to pay. But even if you pay what you are able to pay or affordability, how will you know unless and until you have competitors data or market data, whether you are paying more or less? Say, for example, you are paying more actually, and you don't have market data. So you're literally throwing money on the table. So you must, whether you want to pay as market pays or not, but it helps you to at least compare and know where you are. So when we are talking about external equity, then we do what? A salary survey, or we get data from published data, because there are also organizations like Hewitt, Mercer, and there are many other organizations which do they publish data annually, and then you can buy the data, look at it and say where you are, right? And so we will be talking about salary surveys. Then when we talk about salary survey, the most important thing is how to identify, step one, how to identify who are your comparators, or from where should you get data, right? What kind of company should you get, or should you compare yourself? Then two, what we would be talking about is what are my benchmark positions for whom I want to get data. Then what kind of elements, components will I gather data for? Then after that, okay, I've got 10 companies data. Now what do I do? I've collated data. How do I analyze and interpret? So what are those statistical tools which I will be using? Like, for example, how will I convert this into percentiles? How will I convert this into quartiles, deciles? So that is what we will be learning in external equity. Then what is individual equity? I explained to you just now.
Same job profiles or same skills.
So there are 2 HR managers in an organization. They are doing the same job. Now one guy is working more. Okay, he's also looking after something else. The other guy is just doing the job description. So what is that over and above for the effort he is putting in for over and above what is required for the job description? How are you paying him? How are you motivating him? Or how are you actually helping people to stretch them to increase performance or productivity? So even if I stretch and increase more number of units of production, then if you are going to pay me just like the other person I have achieved 150, that person has achieved only 100 units. If you are going to pay me just like the other person 100 units, then next time I will say no point working. I will also just do 100 units, right? So therefore, to ensure that your top performers stretch, so what will you actually devise? You will actually devise variable pay plans. So performance pay plans, how will you do, whether it's individual, whether it's group, team, or unit, location. So we will look at various variable pay plans along with other variable pays which we talked about, like hardship and hot skill and all that stuff. Okay, so as I said, that when we talk about equity theory, that is the basis which builds how employees get motivated only when they see that their input, which is experience, ability, everything, equals to my outcomes, which is salary, rewards, perks, benefits, trainings, etc. And if it does not equal to, then what? They are demotivated and they will do something, they will change their behavior to ensure that there is a balance. So if it is more, you are getting more, paid more than your contribution, then what will you do? You will adjust your behavior by coming early, going late. Or if you are not getting, then you will reduce your work, look for a job. So these are the various things. And also then how you are comparing yourself internally, externally, or with two individuals doing the same job, which actually translate into these various kinds of equity called internal, external, and individual equity. Got it? Any questions, guys, before I take you to one interesting concept and then we can close? Any questions? None? Just show me your thumbs up. Any questions here?
I've seen few, my example only. So where team leaders are getting lesser salary than the team members.
Okay.
So, how do we tackle this, or how to, in order to not to happen?
Yeah, I'll need more data. What is their job role, etc. Right? Are they getting guaranteed salary, or your team members could be getting some incentive plans, and therefore, when you add up that variable pay plan, so you are getting, whereas your team managers, maybe, they are just getting guaranteed, and their variable pay plan, they are not getting much. This is like, the sales manager getting lesser salary than the sales rep or sales executive. Right?
Okay.
So there's more data, and definitely you need to understand why are you getting it, what, so can we do it? Because typically what happens when you are in a sales job, if sometimes the sales guys, especially in insurance, they tend to really make so much of money, more than even the regional manager. Do you know that?
No.
Huh? Like, for example, if you go to a medical rep, those guys make much more than the area location manager. Guys, yeah. So any questions? Then I'll just talk about a concept which I'll leave it with you, because then we will work along that concept as well. Okay. Let me ask you one question. Today we are talking a lot. Yeah. This will do when I'm doing market. Okay. So today we are talking about a total reward strategy. Have you heard of this total reward strategy?
Yes.
Now, who coined it? There is this big non-profit body called, I don't know how many of you have heard of this, called World at Work. Have you heard of World at Work? Anybody? Just like Hewitt and all that, there is this in Minneapolis. There's a big non-profit body which does seminal work, means real research work in the area of compensation. These were the people, as we have evolved, compensation also evolved, the Taylor system. So it came, assembly line, how, and slowly it has evolved now. Now they have coined this word called total reward strategy. What is this total reward strategy? Or is there a difference between when I say compensation and benefit and total reward strategy? Is there a difference between that?
Total reward will be, the entire reward which has been given to the employees in terms of the services, whether it's a benefits or a pay or a flexi or a variable or a fixed. The entire rewards which has been given by the organization to an employee.
Okay, you are very, very closer. So when we talk about compensation and benefits, compensation and benefit just form a part of the total reward strategy, because what the organizations have realized, that since the human capital is such a valuable and critical asset, now we need to look at right from the time they have come on board till the time go away, organizations actually spend a lot in terms of what? Investing them for training, giving them a work-life performance, development, etc. So the World at Work identified 6 elements under the total reward strategy and said that, we need to work around these elements to create a very holistic, integrated model of total reward strategy. Just not saying, okay, you pay money, you pay compensation, give some benefits, and you will get satisfied and engaged employees. No, because ultimately what the organization being in the kind of dynamics today, they definitely want to attract and motivate and retain a highly satisfied and engaged employees to achieve their business objective and results. So now they said, hey, for the total reward strategy, there are 6 elements. And under these 6 elements, what are they? Compensation forms one element. When I say compensation, I just talked about that components, fixed pay and variable pay. So fixed and variable pay form first element of compensation. Then comes benefits. So benefits form another element. Then comes work life. So what kind of a work life? What is the balance you're having? Flexi, what? Work from home. What are those things you are giving them? Then we are talking about, yes, in order to increase the performance, what kind of performance management are you having? What kind of R&R or reward and recognitions are you having? So all those things which you do under that performance management and recognition, like today what we call it as that R&R. So what are those things? That is why if you notice, most of the organizations are giving a lot of, thrust to this recognition as well. Then you are talking about, hey, employee is not just satisfied millennial workforce. If you recall, I was mentioning about it, the trends, that is, social trends, that compensation, no, but hey, they have to invest in us. Are we getting some training? Are we getting some development? Are we getting career opportunities? So it is just not throwing money. It's a blend. What kind of a mix are you going to have under development and career opportunity? So therefore, we have essentially, you can call it as 5 elements under which we talk about the total as a total reward strategy, and where we are going to do various things. We talk about it. So when we do the session 4, where I'm doing total reward planning as well, we'll talk about this total reward strategy also. Okay, guys, but I thought I will just introduce this concept to you. Is there a difference between reward strategy and total reward strategy? Yes, after having this, Ram,
Yes.
tell me.
Yeah, I think there is a difference.
Tell me.
So rewards not necessarily involve, say, like work-life balance, career
Absolutely,
opportunities.
you are right. I'm not able to find out from you there. Absolutely, you are there. Definitely, reward strategy is nothing but benefit or what are you going to give? It's like an R&R. But when you talk about total reward, it takes care of everything. But reward strategy is just momentary. What is that you're going to do? How you're going to motivate him? That's it. Okay, so total reward is on a bigger plane and a higher plane, which covers all the other elements, but reward strategy does not cover all those elements. Okay, guys, so with this, I want to actually then close this, and then we can just spend about 5 minutes if you have any questions. Then I'll talk about a small assignment as well. If you have no questions, you can just show me your reaction of saying that, yes, I've understood everything by thumbs up. I can. Meritt Learning Center is saying I have understood. Please show your.
In the deferred payment section, can we include bonus and NCA as deferred payment?
Bonus comes under variable pay, but deferred pay means bonus is paid at the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
Deferred means after deferring it.
Retention
Like
kind of.
for retaining people, you will have deferred pays. Like what ESOPs, you
Yeah.
stay for 3 years work, then only you can cash these shares, right? Annuity plan, it is your salary. Instead of getting it deducted as tax, we will invest it and you will get it as an retirement pension at a later point of time, right?
Gratuity comes under deferred payments, ma'am.
Pardon?
Gratuity can we call it deferred payment?
No.
Payment of
Gratuity
No,
gratuity.
is
it's
not a
statutory.
deferred payment. It
It
is
is
an indirect pay which you get. It's the protection, social security, which you get after, as per the Gratuity Act, 4 years, something, 5 years.
5 days continuous service.
Yeah, 5 years.
Yeah. And there are calculations on that. Okay. So that's not.
Yes, there is calculation. Yes.
Okay, guys. So now the homework. One is, I want you to really, now that all of you want to really are working in good organizations, think, do some reading and say, in my industry, what are those critical external factors which are impacting my industry? And how do they in turn impact compensation? That's one. Means external factors impacting or affecting. Two, what are the various kinds of variable pay you have in your industry? Which you can include performance pays, you can include hot skill allowances, you can include market linked bonuses, you can include merit incentives, upskill, cross skill. But what are the ones which are existing in your industry and in your organization? Why I'm saying is, you will also get to know what are the trends in your organization, industry, and what is that you are also not doing if your industry is doing. Got it?
Yes, ma'am.
So it should be an industry specific compensation structures, right?
No, I'm not talking about industry specific compensation structure at all. Right
You
now,
need to
as
jot down
simple
industry
as
specific
just
action.
making you aware of, hey, in my organization's compensation, these are some of the factors which are impacting. For maybe, I don't know, maybe supply and demand of labor could be one critical maybe, I'm not saying that. Okay, so maybe technology is impacting, maybe, so just think for your industry what is happening.
Okay,
Okay.
ma'am. Yeah.
And what are those existing variable pays in your industry or in your organization? What are you doing as a part of the variable pays? What kind of variable pays are you giving? It could be for performance, hot skill. I've discussed 4 types. Now you write down what are they, and 1 or 2 lines or 3 lines explaining this is the variable pay and this is how it is. Got it? This will only enhance your learning, right? I gave you a small, but you will forget if you don't do anything about it, but you will remember it. So tell me, if you do it, it will be reinforced. So that's why I gave you this, which you read. Okay, guys.